Hi, this is Street Life and I'm Natasha, back at it with the recipe for making black-eyed pea salad. My first time making this recipe, I was looking for something different to make for New Year's Day. In my family, and I know a lot of other families as well, it's a tradition for New Year's that you make black-eyed peas for good luck and some kind of greens for money or prosperity. In my family, the black-eyed pea dish that we typically make would be rice and peas. I looked online and I was trying to see what else can I do with black-eyed peas? How can I make it in a new and different way? And I saw a recipe for a black-eyed pea salad and decided that I would kind of put my own spin on it. There were some things about it that, I thought I could probably improve upon or adapt for my taste. It's actually a really good side dish, not just for New Year's. If you imagine at other times of years, this would be something really great for during the summer for barbecues and picnics because it doesn't necessarily have to be hot. You can cook it, put it out on the table, and it's a little bit different from what people might be used to as far as traditional sides, but it's recognizable because it's just beans. If you think of it during the summer with barbecue, you might have baked beans. This is like a lighter version of that, a different take on it. Still a nice hearty side, healthy. You've got some nice, bright, vibrant colors, but it's something that would be familiar to people where I think they might eat it, right? But it's just a different take. So you're getting away from the same old, same old.
All right, so here I have a pot heating with just a bit of oil. And to this, I am going to add some pepper and onion blend. We've got peppers and onions cooking away.
In recent years, I've taken to buying frozen pepper and onion blend from the grocery store because of the convenience. Number one, you save time not having to chop up onions and peppers. And then secondly, not every recipe that I make requires peppers and onions. And the next thing you know, you go to use it and they've gone bad. So this way, buying it frozen, it's there in the freezer whenever I'm ready for it. And so all I'm doing here is putting the peppers and onions into the pot with oil, really just sweating it down. They're frozen, so it needs an extra minute or two to cook, but this is really just softening it, getting it nice and tender, getting some of that chill off, but cooking it down, like cooking down the onions, letting it caramelize, cooking down the peppers so that they soften up, which is going to give you some good flavor. This is going to be the foundation of the salad, and it's just going to add more flavor to the black-eyed peas. So the peppers and onions, you just cook for a little while, pop it into the pot, give it a stir so that it doesn't stick. Try to get a single layer as much as you can. Give it a little bit of time, and I just cover it for a few minutes just to allow the peppers and onions to sweat a bit. But you don't want to have your fire too hot. You also don't want to leave it covered for too long. We're not really steaming it here. This is just kind of to cook out some of the rawness of the onion, some of the rawness of the peppers. Really just a few minutes. Take the cover off. Just continue giving it a stir. So for convenience again, rather than using dried, I'm using canned black-eyed peas. You can certainly use either. There's no real big difference between the two of them. Just be aware that if you use dried black-eyed peas, you need to let them soak overnight. Whereas with the canned black-eyed peas, you grab the can when you're ready to start cooking, you're good to go. So there's less need to plan ahead, so you get more flexibility. So the recipe that I found for the black-eyed pea salad did not cook the beans. It used black-eyed peas and most of the other ingredients, but didn't cook the black-eyed peas. I've been eating black-eyed peas all my life, and I've never had it uncooked. So what I find is that sure, there's different ways, different things that you can do. You don't have to always prepare food the same way. I think it can be cool to try and experiment with different methods, different ingredients. But I find cooking things adds flavor. You caramelize things, you add heat, you add seasonings. It helps to punch up the flavor. So while I'm sure the black-eyed pea salad with the black-eyed peas uncooked would have been fine, I feel like here, cooking it down with the peppers and onions, adding the seasonings, letting it simmer for a bit, I think would just take it up another level. In addition, when I went to get the black-eyed peas out of the pantry, right next to that was a can of Rotel, which is a combination of diced tomatoes and jalapenos. Now, adding that in and of itself, it's a little bit spicy because I had the spicy version, but then there's a little bit of acid from the tomatoes as well, right? So you have this addition of flavor, texture, color. You get a little kick from the jalapeno. Now, not everyone likes spicy food, so you can go ahead and get Rotel or whatever the store brand of the mix is. but it comes in different spice levels. So you have mild, you have original, you have, I think it's like hot or spicy. And in addition to that, you choose whichever's at your heat level. And if you want, you can add hot sauce, pepper sauce, garlic chili sauce. Really mix and match, adjust to your personal liking and preference. And then because of the acidity, I'm not the biggest fan of tomatoes. Mostly, if I'm using tomatoes, I stick to grape tomatoes because I find that the acidity tends to be lower in comparison to larger tomatoes. But here, because it's really just a small can of Rotel, just to add a bit of flavor, it's not enough tomato to overpower, or to add too much acid to the salad. So it's still manageable for me. Now, granted, if you like tomato, go ahead, add even more. Fresh tomatoes, diced tomatoes, crushed tomatoes, it's really up to you. But for me, I think just a small amount of tomatoes is just perfect, right? It adds just the right amount of acidity without being overly acidic. To that, I also add a splash of apple cider vinegar. Just a little something extra in the background, just that little kick. So we've added tomatoes, apple cider vinegar, but we don't want to make it too acidic. I'm going to sprinkle in just a little bit of sugar, like a half teaspoon. It's similar to what I do when I make tomato sauce for pizza or for pasta. Adding just a little bit of sugar helps to cut the acidity, but it should be just enough to balance out the acid, but not make what you're cooking sweet. When I buy canned peas or beans, I make it a point to get either low sodium or, if possible, no salt added. This way, I can control the amount of salt in whatever I'm making. I prefer to add the salt and then I can adjust accordingly versus buying, the canned beans or peas with salt already added and having to work around that. So towards the end, once I've added everything else and I kind of have an idea of where the flavors stand, I then add some seasoning salt, a bit of black pepper, and just give it another stir. Allow it to continue cooking. Bearing in mind that because these beans were canned, they're already going to be somewhat tender, so they're not going to have to cook that long. Because this is a side dish that you can put together very quickly, it's got like a little bit of everything in there. You've got vegetables in the form of the onions, peppers, tomatoes. You've got some good fiber. You can be real regular with this. There's good fiber and protein from the black-eyed peas. I think it's a healthy side dish. You get nice color. It's something familiar, but it's cooked in a kind of new and different way. So it'll look interesting on the table. It's a nice dish. I think it would go perfectly on your holiday table like I made it, but it could just as easily go well on a table at a picnic or a barbecue, or even just regular dinner or lunch. It comes together very quickly, but it looks pretty. It looks like you put some work and effort into it. When you dig into it, the combination of like the nice smooth texture of the black-eyed peas combined with the peppers and onions, the tomatoes, the little bit of spice from the jalapenos, that little splash of apple cider vinegar, a little bit of sugar. It's like all of those flavors are just going to come together and combine for a really nice flavor that goes well with meat or even as a vegetarian option.
Thanks for tuning in. To ensure you don't miss any episodes, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell, and check out my Cooking at Home playlist. Go ahead and click that thumbs up button if you like what you saw, and go ahead and share it on social media.